Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe for all the latest and greatest Star Trek, Star Wars, sci-fi TV news around. Today I'm talking to you about this great announcement we had the other day about Star Trek Strange New Worlds, the new Pike series that's going to be coming soon. We've got a little bit more information to go over today because there've been few more bits and pieces come out from Alex Kurtzman. Akiva Goldsman has made a couple of comments just about the series that we might find interesting, and a few little bits of speculation that I have to throw into the recipe to perhaps speculate on what sort of things we might see in the upcoming Star Trek Strange New Worlds featuring Pike and Number One and Spock. So let's get into it. So for starters, CBS came out with a very cool teaser poster for Strange New Worlds the other day. It's cool, we get to see the logo for the show, same font as the Star Trek Discovery font. It shows Captain Pike standing on a planet holding a phaser rifle with the Enterprise zooming off into the distance in the top of frame. And a tagline that exploration is a promise. So we're getting back to the roots of Star Trek, it would seem, on this show, where exploration and going out on adventures and so forth in the galaxy is going to be first and foremost the mantra of this new show. Now, also on this poster, we get a release date, which is fall of 2021. So I'm guessing this is kind of around September perhaps. So it'll be interesting to see how that release date goes based on the fact that we're all obviously in a global pandemic at the moment. But I'm sure that they're doing a lot of pre-production work at the moment, and everyone's working remotely and everything. So yeah. We'll see how that goes. Now, the slogan on this poster obviously has been reinforced by Alex Kurtzman or Akiva Goldsman, I'm not sure which one, in terms of the exploration factor being a promise for this show. I kind of feel like this show is getting back to the roots of Star Trek. One thing which I think is really good news for this series is Akiva Goldsman has come out to say that this show is going to be episodic, not serialized. So obviously in recent years with Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Picard, it's kind of been one story encompassing the entire season. Whereas I think with Strange New Worlds, they're getting back to the roots of Star Trek, the original series, and they're getting back to the roots of Next Generation, which is single episode stories where they'll, planet of the week, they'll arrive at a planet, there'll be a problem, they'll have to solve it, and next week it'll be a completely new problem they'll have to solve, which is great. But I think one thing which Akiva also mentioned with the episodic storytelling is that it wasn't just going to be push the reset button at the end of every episode. Obviously things will happen, and the consequences and results of what happens in one episode will carry on and through the other episodes. So we won't have serialized storytelling where it's more like a 10-hour movie like Picard, say, was. It'll be individual episodes that deal with completely different things, more in the classic sense of Star Trek storytelling. So we will get a definite thread of character development through the season, but with individual storytelling, episodic storytelling throughout the course of the season. It'll be a bit of a breath of fresh air. I think, not that I have any problem with serialized storytelling, it worked quite effectively in the sense of Picard and Discovery, and it also obviously adds to keep viewers hooked into the show and interested and keep watching. This definitely breathes fresh air into the Star Trek franchise in the sense that we kind of really haven't had episodic storytelling since Voyager was on air. I like the idea of this. The other thing that I think a lot of people will be very happy about with Strange New Worlds is the tone of the show. Alex Kurtzman has come out to say the tone of the show will be more optimistic with Strange New Worlds. It will present a bright future. There's been a lot of criticism over the last couple of years with both Discovery and Picard that the sense of optimism and the future was darker than what we had come to expect in the past with Star Trek. Personally, I enjoy Discovery and I enjoy Picard. I think they were great shows, but I can certainly see elements of the world that they're inhabiting that aren't maybe quite as bright and optimistic as the Federation was. F-bombs being dropped on both Discovery and Picard. I don't know what do the Star Trek makers, what obsession do they have with stabbing people in the eyeball? It just there seems to be, both in the season 2 of Discovery and in the season 1 of Picard, instances of people being stabbed in the eye, I think were, quite prolific. So I'm not sure who has got the eye stabbing fetish over at CBS there, but clearly somebody has. This new series will be something that perhaps more closely resembles the Star Trek of the 90s, the Rick Berman or Michael Piller Star Trek. That's some good news that might quieten the voice of the haters and the naysayers out there that perhaps haven't enjoyed Discovery or Picard as much as all of us have. And I think Alex Kurtzman and Anson Mount have also said the show will definitely presenting classic Trek values. A good sign that this show is definitely on the right track. So I'm really hoping that this getting back to classic Trek values and optimism, the younger audience can also enjoy Star Trek. So in terms of the chronology and the timeline here for Strange New Worlds, one thing we might be likely to see, as we have Spock serving as a lieutenant on board the Enterprise, come into contact with the USS Farragut. And because the USS Farragut, under the command of Captain Garavik, had a young lieutenant on board by the name of James T. Kirk. So I wonder whether there might be a story in there, perhaps, where Enterprise meets up with the Farragut, and we perhaps see a young Kirk on board for this. I think there was a rumour going around that Jake Cannavale, who some of you guys who watch The Mandalorian, the Star Wars Mandalorian show, he was in episode 5 on Tatooine, where he played a young guy trying to get into the Bounty Hunters Guild, and he had to kind of team up with the Mandalorian to take out a fugitive. So there was some rumours that Jake Cannavale might be playing perhaps a young Kirk. I don't want to see Kirk on board the Enterprise. I think it's way too soon for that, based on the fact that he's still a lieutenant at this time. He's off on the Farragut, serving as a midshipman. But I think it would kind of be cool, even if it's just for one episode, seeing them bump into the Farragut and Kirk and Spock maybe having a little bit of a interaction there. So that'd be a nice thing to see. Now, in terms of other characters from the original Cage pilot in the original series, the only kind of other 3 characters we saw apart from Spock and Number 1 and Pike, we saw the ship's doctor, which was Dr. Philip Boyce, who was kind of an older physician. I wonder whether they're going to keep this consistent with Strange New Worlds, or whether they're going to cast a whole different doctor. We had a young officer in the pilot by the name of Lieutenant Jose Tyler. I think he was the ops officer, I think he was meant to be very fresh out of Starfleet Academy. Maybe it was one of his first assignments. So it would be good to see Lieutenant Jose Tyler there. And the other character we saw in the Cage was Yeoman Colt. Yeoman Colt never got a first name. I think her first initial started with a J, but I don't think she ever got a first name beyond a first initial.
But if you look at the end credits from the last couple of episodes of Season 2 Discovery, Yeoman Colt is in the end credits, played by Nicole Dickinson, who is in fact this character from the bridge of the Enterprise. So obviously they've kept Yeoman Colt, but they've completely changed her species. So I wonder whether this character will remain for Strange New Worlds.
It'd be great to see a little bit of, a bit of consistency, a bit of continuity, linking back to that first pilot episode, The Cage in original series. I think would be good to see.
Now, the other character that would be very interesting to see in this show would be Cadet Thera Sidhu, who was in the short Trek Ask Not. She had the Starbase emergency test, kind of a bit similar to the Kobayashi Maru test, where she had to kind of make a life or death decision as to whether she was going to let Pike out of the cell or not. It should be a good character to see in the show as well. We've obviously established her from the short Trek episode, so seeing Cadet Sidhu would be an interesting choice as well. Maybe she's been promoted to ensign by the time we get Strange New Worlds, perhaps.
But all other characters are up for grabs. Whether we got a Tellarite character or an Andorian character, I think, in there, maybe an Orion. And I really hope that Strange New Worlds is going to be an ensemble cast show. One criticism that I've had about Discovery is that we really only kind of get to see Burnham and Stamets and Tilly and Saru, along with whoever the captain is. There are the other characters in the show, Bryce and Reese and Detmer and Owo. They all really were trying to just glorify extras. You know, we never really got any character development with those characters in Discovery. So it kind of would be good to make Strange New Worlds an ensemble cast where we get to learn more about the characters and you know, be able to connect with those characters, because we haven't really had that with Discovery with our supporting cast on that show. So hopefully they'll remedy that element with Strange New Worlds. So what do you guys think? Are you excited for Strange New Worlds? What bits of Trek history would you like to see? Do you want to see a whole new cast, or do you want to see maybe some other characters that were established in Star Trek before be part of the crew for this show? Are you stoked about the fact that it's going to be returning to classic Trek values and be an optimistic view of the future? What do you think of that? Would you like the element of it being episodic and not serialized? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section, guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video, check out my merchandise, check out my Patreon page, and I will see you next time for my next review.